My name is Tracy, and today we're going to learn about Jesus, the bread of life. And this is going to be in the book of John, chapter 6, verse 25 through 59. When they found him on the other side of the lake, they asked him, "Rabbi, when did you get here?" Jesus answered, "Very truly I tell you, you are looking for me not because you saw the signs I performed, but because you ate the loaves and had your fill. Do not work for food that spoils, but for food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. For on him God the Father has placed his seal of approval." They asked him, "What must we do to do the works God requires?" Jesus answered, "The work of God is this, to believe in the one who he has sent." So they asked him, "What sign then will you give that we may see it and believe you? What will you do? Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness. As it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat." Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, it is not Moses who has given you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of heaven is the bread that comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." "Sir," they said, "always give us this bread." Then Jesus declared, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. But as I told you, you have seen me and still you do not believe. All those the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me I will never drive away. For I have come down from heaven not to do my will, but to do the will of him who sent me. And this is the will of him who sent me, that I shall lose none of those he has given me, but raise them up at the last day. For my Father's will is that everyone who looks to the Son and believes in him shall have eternal life, and I will raise them up at the last day." At this, the Jews there began to grumble about him because he said, "I am the bread that came down from heaven." They said, "Is this not Jesus, the son of Joseph, and whose father and mother we know? How can he now say, 'I came down from heaven'?" "Stop grumbling among yourselves," Jesus answered. "No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them, and I will raise them up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, 'They will all be taught by God.' Everyone who has heard the Father and learned from him comes to me. No one has seen the Father except the one who is from God. Only he has seen the Father. Very truly I tell you, the one who believes has eternal life. I am the bread of life. Your ancestors ate manna in the wilderness, yet they died. But here is the bread that comes down from heaven, which anyone may eat and not die. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will forever live. This bread is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world." Then the Jews began to argue sharply among themselves, "How can this man give us his flesh to eat?" Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life. I will raise them up at the last day. For my flesh is real food and my blood is real drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in them. Just as the living Father sent me, I live because of the Father, So the one who feeds on me will live because of me. This is the bread that came down from heaven. Your ancestors ate manna and died, but whoever feeds on this bread will live forever. He said this while teaching in the synagogue in Capernaum. So, faith and emptiness. Jesus taught about the centrality of faith when asked, "What must we do to do the works God requires?" Jesus answered, "The work of God is this, to believe in the one He has sent." We are called primarily believers, not achievers. The way we achieve is by first believing in God. Jesus says, "I am the bread of life." When we are physically hungry, we crave food. But as well as physical needs, you have spiritual needs and a spiritual hunger. The bread Jesus is talking about is the Word made flesh, present with them as friend. Jesus is offering us a personal, intimate, heart-to-heart relationship with Him. It is the gift of His total person to teach one of us. Faith in Jesus fills the emptiness you experience and satisfies your spiritual hunger for purpose, permanence, and pardon. First, purpose. Physical bread is not enough. Material things alone do not satisfy. Money, homes, cars, success, and even human relationships do not desire our ultimate purpose in life. The bread that satisfies is the bread of life. This is not commodity that Jesus supplies. He is the gift and the giver. The word "I" or "me" appears 35 times in this discussion. I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. It is easy, even once you have put your faith in Jesus, to get caught up in either in material things or the trappings of religion. But it's actually only a relationship with Jesus that satisfies our spiritual hunger. The expression "believe in me," "come to me," "look to the Son," "eat my flesh and drink my blood" describe living in an intimately close relationship with Jesus. Second, permanency. We are all going to die. Death is the great unmentionable reality. Jesus says, "This life is not the end. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats of this bread will live forever. I will raise them up on the last day." Jesus promises to raise you at the last day and that you live forever. You can have absolute assurance that your relationship with Jesus will outlast death. There is both a present and a future dimension to this eternal life. They said, "From now on, give us this bread." Jesus says it can be received immediately. Yet He also made it clear that it will last forever. Third, pardon. Forgiveness is actually our greatest need. The atheist philosopher Margarita Lasky said, "What I envy most about you Christians is your forgiveness. I have no one to forgive me. We all want to know that we are pardoned from all that we have done wrong." Jesus said, "This bread is my flesh, which I give for the life of the world." His blood was shed for the forgiveness of sins. Every time you receive communion, you are reminded that Jesus gave His life so that you could be forgiven. How do you receive this bread? Jesus says, "I tell you the truth. Whoever believes has eternal life. I am the bread of life. While there is no separate account of Jesus' institute of Holy Communion in John's Gospel, here we see Jesus' teaching on communion set in the context of faith. Among other things, communion is a visible sign that helps us receive Christ by faith. It reveals and nourishes the friendship Jesus wants us to have with Him. It is a gift of His love and a sign of His desire to dwell in you all the time. The prayer of today is, Lord, thank you that through faith in you I have found a lasting purpose in my life, forgiveness for my sins, and the promise of eternal life. Help me today to walk in a close, intimate relationship with you. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.